Caste system. Jews are masters, Gentiles servants. Many people migrated to America to escape the tyranny of the old world's Übermensch, Untermensch social system. My European ancestors did so. America was long cherished, not just for its liberties, but as a land of opportunity. One could rise to any social status on the basis of skill and hard work because America was free and had no caste system. Now Bush too is helping to destroy whatever remains of that open system. The lubavitchers and their Jewish establishment backers intend to set up a caste system with Jews at the top of the heap. They'll have us believe it is God's will, of course. Here is a sample of the Ten Commandments apply only to the Jews. I'll tell them right now, it is not God's will. I know what God's will is. And they'll never know, because they are totally ungodly. The caste system, Jews are read that. At Mount Sinai, God gave the Ten Commandments and hundreds of others to the Jewish people. These laws apply only to the Jews in their special role as the world's spiritual leaders. Right. The law contains two parallel but separate paths for the world. Parallel universes, people. My codes produce two timelines running alongside each other. Anyway, the law contains two parallel but separate paths for the world, 613 commandments for the Jews, and 66 commandments contained in the 7 Noahide laws for Gentiles. Non-Jews may not observe Shabbos or holidays in the manner of Jews or be called up for public Torah reading in a synagogue. The law is only a minimum. So here we have more of the same. The two-tier society, Jews on the top tier, Gentiles on the bottom. These 7 commandments, mitzvos, the 7 Noahide laws, are not arbitrary laws, but rather God's plan for mankind. The 7 universal laws of Noah have only been replaced by the Jewish people, to whom God gave the entire Torah teaching as their law. They therefore have a special responsibility with special commandments to be the priesthood of the world, a light unto nations. Notice that Torah in this context means the entire body of Jewish teachings. From what is Noah's covenant, you got a couple of links there. That's why the Jews who run the American Civil Liberties Union don't want the 10 Commandments posted in public places. The 10 Commandments are not public property. They are owned by the Jews. Let the Gentiles eat Noahide laws. How long will it be before Jews complain of copyright infringement when Gentiles quote the 10 Commandments? Two-tier system of law, Noahide get bottom tier. The Noahide communities require courts of justice led by rabbinically trained righteous judges, which will function similarly to Jewish Batei Dinim, Jewish courts. From the final war for Jerusalem, why permanent Israeli victory is now within reach. A search of the Talmud's Sanhedrin reveals that a Noahide is to be tried by one judge on the testimony of one witness only, and is executed even if no formal admonition preceded his offense. On the other hand, a Jew is tried by a court of 23 on the testimony of at least 2, and executed only after formal admonition. Footnote 5 of Sanhedrin 71b. Keep the Gentiles ignorant. The Noahide children must be kept ignorant. That's the system in slave-based societies, of course. Right now, a supplemental daily homeschooling Torah program is being developed and used to teach Noahide children. This approach to education drastically minimizes secular studies, math, science, history, English, social studies, computers and other technical studies in favor of total immersion in Torah, the Word of God. The law is only a minimum. Not just socially, but technically and economically, the Nogahides are the bottom dogs. Without racial, cultural, or historical identity, they are the servant class, left only with the Nogahide laws. Remember the 10 Commandments, and the rest are for Jews only. How much total immersion in Torah will the Nogahides get? Contrast this to Bush's 2002 Schneerson birthday proclamation. America's future depends in part on ensuring that every child in America receives a quality education. Education has always played a vital role in the success of our nation. It has provided hope through the principle that any citizen can realize the American dream, regardless of background, ethnicity, and faith. Emphasis added. Yeah. What a bold lie. Bush is praising the universality of education of Schneerson Mars when Schneerson followers want universality of education destroyed. Sorry, when I'm reading so much, my tongue gets a bit tired. Hasidic Lubavitcher. Sorry. Gotta take a break. Unofficial rabbi of Capitol Hill. Now let's revisit the influence the Lubavitchers have in this country. On July 3rd, 1999, the Washington Post ran an article entitled Hasidic Outpost in D.C. New Lubavitch Center raises profile of popular director. The American Friends of Lubavitch has opened a $2 million center in Washington's Embassy District, solidifying the Hasidic sect's presence in the diplomatic community and increasing the visibility of its director, Levi Shem Tov, already considered by many to be the unofficial rabbi of Capitol Hill. Most Washingtonians familiar with Shem Tov know him for his work on the Hill. He meets privately with Jewish members of Congress and staffers almost always at their invitation, and holds monthly or bi-monthly Capital Jewish forums on such issues as ethics, holiday traditions, and the relationship between religion and government. Cardin 55 called Shem Tov a real asset for the Jewish members and Jewish staffers on Capitol Hill. From the context, it would seem these Capital Jewish forums to discuss the relationship between religion and government are held in Capitol Hill meeting rooms, that is, public facilities, are being used for brainstorming sessions on how to turn America into a Talmudist theocracy. I can enlighten you on the relationship between the religion and government that will pertain in the new theocracy. High priests will run the courts and pronounce death sentences, and our prayers will be subject to government laws. For Jews, their religion and government are synonymous. Oh my God. There is a frequency weapons company called Synonymous. That's just insane. A Jewish one. Last September, when Republican House leaders scheduled votes on the impeachment of President Clinton during high holy days, Shem Tov visited the office of Republican Richard K. Artex. That's something that came up in my research, and persuaded him to change the schedule. Persuaded him, alright? Incredible. Here we have a constitutional crisis in our country, a crisis for which Congress was putting aside all other national business to consider. Yet Congress has changed the date of a vote to impeach the President of the United States because a Lubavitch rabbi, scarcely 30 years old, asked him to do so. The Lubavitchers expect the Gentiles to respect the Jewish religious holidays, but they would have Christians put to death for observing Christmas. See how equal justice under law works for Jews. The post features 2 colour photos of the unofficial rabbi of Capitol Hill, a dweeby-looking, even-featured young man with a fuzzy black beard. Beside him, we see the menacing glance of the Reeb sneering down from a portrait on the wall. Political adversaries meet at Shemtov's. On October 22, 2001, the Jerusalem Post also paid a gushing tribute to Shemtov. There's nobody who doesn't love him, it seems. In Washington, he is very popular with the whores on both sides of the street. In political Washington, it's very easy to get caught up in your job, says Ari Fleischer, Republican presidential nominee George W. Bush spokesman, who met Shemtov while working for a Republican senator from New Mexico. Your focus can wander from your religion. He made it easy for me to find even more of a Jewish life on the Hill. Adds Thomas Kahn, House Budget Committee Democratic staff director and a frequent guest at Shemtov's Shabbat dinners, which famously bring together Jews who could be natural political adversaries on CNN's Crossfire during the week. There's nobody who is more widely respected and warmly received in Congress, the administration, and the diplomatic corps. A large part of it is just his force of personality and also a tribute to Chabad. So Thomas Kahn, is he the one that they were talking about there? Oh, Shemtov, okay. I have captured the October 22, 2000 Jerusalem Post article, curiously titled Miriam Free Feature. Send to editors Friday features after proof. Part 2, it's about world domination stupid. By now we have seen extraordinary things. American presidents and the American Congress are setting up a theocratic, non-biblical, Talmudic state that will replace the one founded in 1789. Americans will be ruled by Jews. Christmas, Easter, Good Friday, certainly Ramadan will be outlawed. If citizens don't follow the synthetic religion designed for them by the rabbis, they will be beheaded. What else is there to learn? Now you are ready to read. Understand this isn't just America, this is worldwide, okay? Every country in the world. The final war for Jerusalem. Why permanent Israeli victory is now within reach. Now, here we go. Much of this article is a paranoid rant about the persecution of the Jews. Karl Marx wanted the Jewish nation destroyed, and the commies have been after them ever since. Stalin ordered the commies to bring Hitler to power and helped Hitler implement the Holocaust. American presidents are conspiring against the Jews. Amaleks have been conspiring to take the Jews out for 33 continuous centuries. 33. That's a significant number, isn't it? Finally, we read the truest statement on JHG USA website. I want to go back a bit there where it says that Karl Marx and all that sort of stuff. For one thing, Karl Marx was a Khazarian Jew. So there's a lie right there. The Holocaust, another lie. And Stalin putting Hitler into power, another lie. So they, I've also got CIA documents which state that they rewrote Stalin's history and they rewrote Russia's history in books and everything. So they did it, okay? Well, that clears matters up. Jews are going to wipe out all other civilizations in the world and replace them with one of their own design. They intend to rule the world. The Jewish people have... Why do you think they're putting chips in our heads and controlling us with mind control? The Jewish people have the unique power of victory to liberate the world from its current road to complete self-destruction. Current? AC current? Since we are now in the last generation of the Jewish exile and the first generation of Moshiach, our actions are guaranteed to produce miraculous success. Gentiles needed as labourers in war of Jewish supremacy. So they will need us as slaves, okay? But there is not a sufficient number of Jews to bring about global victory of the Jews over others. weenies are needed to help. Weenies. So, so not just labour in fighting as well, in their armies. But they'd have to do that with mind control, yeah? By transforming... and I've just discovered it as I said it. So, and as the Lubavitcher Rebbe has explained, by transforming the Gentiles, we can quickly create a vast army of supporters who will help us reveal Moshiach, Messiah, that is, the Jewish people, and bring all Jews back to the Torah. Specifically, the Rebbe has emphasized that the peace process in Israel will be defeated only through our influence on the Gentiles, especially through the campaign to teach the Noahide laws. So they don't want peace with the Palestinians, they want the war. And in my second last episode of Frequency War, I had footage of Netanyahu talking about that he didn't want any deals and that they would use pressure and military force. They're evil and warmongering, okay? Rabbi Schneerson also supported Israel wars and opposed any retreat. In 1974, he strongly opposed the Israeli withdrawal from the Suez area. He promised Israel divine favours if it persisted in occupying the land. Oh my God. After his death, thousands of Israeli followers played an important role in the election victory of Binyamin Netanyahu. Oh my God. Among the religious settlers, I was just talking about him. In the occupied territories, the Chabad Hasids constitute one of the most extreme groups. Barak Goldstein, oh my God, Goldstein, the mass murderer of Palestinians, was one of them. As you will see below, two prominent Jews in the Department of Defense, Assistant Secretary of Defense, Paul Wolfowitz, and I've already seen him in research, and DoD computer controller at B, DoD comptroller Rabbi... Oh my God, the DoD is controlled by Rabbi Dov Zakim, pay public homage to the Lubavitchers. No wonder the military are not helping us and share public podiums with them at their events. Does that help to explain why there is no peace in the Middle East? On the basis of this admonition from Schneerson, who is the aggressor, I'm going to call it admission, okay? Admonition is harder to say, and it means admission. And so, you know, why not? It's probably a Jewish word anyway. So where are we? Clearly stated that the synthetic Noahide religion, synthetic, AI anybody, religion has another practical advantage. It ensures Gentile Americans are politically motivated to endorse the genocide of the Palestinians. They want the genocide of the Palestinians. It says it right there, the genocide of the Palestinians. They don't just want their land, they want to wipe them out entirely. Men, women and children. Christianity and other religions will disappear. Like fuck. Try it. Try it. My God will destroy and smite you. He's so much stronger. Your satanic lord is a little bitch. You are all little bitches. You will pay. How will this final war for Jerusalem be fought? First, the opposing forces will disappear. The Messiah, the Jews, will teach the world the word of God to all nations, causing Christianity and other religions to disappear. The Bible says that everyone will become a Hasidic Gentile, my ass. Who is the Son of God? Me. Now we see what role the Gentiles in the US military will play in the final war for Jerusalem. They are well in the US military. They are in deep. The US military will help Islam to disappear. They're going to wipe out Islam. Islam is one of the most peaceful religions, hence why they want to wipe it out. And don't fall for the propaganda they've spit. And remember that the CIA were responsible for a lot of the so-called extreme terrorist acts, not Muslims. So, On September 11, 2001, remote-controlled planes were used to crash into the World Trade Center and Pentagon sites. So, the hits were carried out with the full knowledge and consent of North American Aerospace Command and blamed on Muslim terrorists. I was just saying that. I haven't read this document before, people. I was just saying that. And Aerospace Industries, AI, you'll find all the frequency weapons companies and all that are responsible for all this evil, and with Aerospace Industries, and that is AI. Okay, so, continuing on. Know that the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, Senator Carl Levin D. Mitch, is a supporter of Chabad Lubavitch. Of course he is. We can now understand why on September 13, 2001, just 2 days after the catastrophe, Levin allowed General Richard B. Myers, Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, on September 11, 2001, and a former NORAD commander to bob and weave and lie about events that day. After watching him so perform, Levin and his committee confirmed Myers as the new chairman as the Joint Chiefs of Staff. We can understand why on October 25, Senator Levin allowed General Ralph E. Eberhardt, commander of NORAD, on September 11, 2001, to bob and weave and lie about events that day. Levin was protecting and will continue to protect the two treasonous American generals who helped forward the cause of world Jewish domination. Oh, I want to hear those names. Without presenting any evidence of granting due process in any recognized court of law, Bush and company declared the terrorist acts were committed by Muslims and bombed Afghanistan. Meanwhile, in Palestine, the Israelis began to move their tanks into the West Bank. The significance of the 9/11 terror becomes more obvious each day. The purpose of the 9/11 terror was to springboard the final war for Jerusalem. This is so shocking, so evil. Wolfowitz shares podium with Lubavitcher's rabbis. On December 9, 2001, U.S. Assistant Secretary of Defense Paul D. Wolfowitz, who gives public lip service to the Middle East peace process, lit the national menorah on the ellipse. He shared the podium with Lubavitch rabbis Abraham Shem Tov and Levi Shem Tov. Levi Shem Tov, of course, is the unofficial rabbi of Capitol Hill, the rabbi acclaimed by the Washington Post and the Jerusalem Post. I get so sick of reading these Jewish names. So evil. The lighting of the menorah was reported by the Washington Post. The Warm Glow of Hope, December 10, 2001. The Post quotes one of the attendees this year: "It's more important than ever to celebrate our freedom. It is important for my kids to see that we can practice our religion openly in this country." Oh, is it important to say that until you decide to sacrifice them to Moloch? Yet, if the Lubavitchers have their way, Christians and Muslims will be put to death for I read that quote wrong. I thought that was their quote, the Lubavitchers. It seems... Either way. Yet, if the Lubavitchers have their way, Christians and Muslims will be put to death for practicing their religions in this country. And George Bush, the Christian, honors the Lubavitch Rebbe as a great humanitarian. If Jews think Gentiles are cattle willing to be led to the slaughter, can you blame them? Come to think of it, we have just read about a high U.S. official lighting the national menorah. Have you read any articles about high U.S. officials visiting the national nativity creche? In fact, do we even have a national nativity creche? No, that would violate the principle of the separation of church and state, right? Gentiles ready to adore the real Son of God. As Christianity spirals downward into strife and theological confusion, it becomes a vacuum unable to defend itself against either the lies of Amalek, members of an ancient nomadic tribe,